place. That is not good. Hello everyone, and welcome back to this week's free yard transformation video. And let me just give you a little tour of this place. Come have a look at this. So in last week's video, we tackled the front yard of this place, and in this week's video, we are back again tackling this backyard. This backyard is pretty bad. You should see the lawn here. This whole backyard is pretty much now just being taken over by different types of weeds and clumping grass here out the back. We've got a lot of concrete around the place, which I don't know where these paths lead to, but I'd sure like to find out how far they go. I know this concrete actually goes to the fence at the end there, could you imagine? But I don't know how far it goes that way. This grass is getting absolutely ridiculous. This stuff is really, really annoying. You can't even get your whippersnipper with this stuff. It'll just destroy the line on the whippersnipper. So I might have to dig these out or use the Ninja Star. And this stuff just keeps going towards the whole back of this property. This is an abandoned place, and in last week's video I had gone and spoken to one of the neighbours, and he was telling me that he's never seen anyone here. And I've also driven past this property for about 2 years and seen it in this state, but I didn't really want to touch it because of the orange fencing. But they're not doing anything with it, and it's just getting worse and worse. If you want to see part 1, which is the front yard, I'll link it in the description of this video. So it seems as if a lot of people have used this side driveway as a dumping grounds. There is so much general waste. It is amongst all of the greenery here, so it's going to be a bit tricky to get rid of, but this area is just completely scattered with it. So this is going to be really, really fun to get rid of all of this general waste that's lying everywhere. And then again, we have more of this grass, random bushes and trees that are growing here. But let me just tell you all one small problem with this job that we're going to have, and that is that we have absolutely no access to getting in through this way. The only access we have is the other side. This has been completely shut off, I'm guessing by the owners or something. So we can't get through this way. And then on the other side, we have this problem, which is the exact same thing. It's been padlocked shut, but we do have a little hole here. So I'm gonna have to fit the whole of that backyard through this hole. It is gonna be pretty tricky and very annoying, but it's gonna get done. But anyway, guys, enough of me yapping on, and let's get cleaning. So before I go any further this way, I'm just going to finish off this path because I want to clear all of the general waste in this area because there is a lot. So before we get to this driveway, we're going to get some of this area done first. And there is just glass scattered all over the place, so I can't really do much or use my whippersnipper until that's cleaned. So what I'm doing here is I'm getting rid of two types of weeds here, which are a problem for my whippersnipper. My whippersnipper struggles to go through these. One is called prickly lettuce, which are these tall brown stalks. These are all dead at the moment. But these things are a pain to get through, and they also have a lot of spikes on them. So make sure you wear good gloves when you deal with this stuff, otherwise you'll get hundreds of little splinters and it's not fun. And then the other one that we have, which if you watch the last episode you'll know, is called flaxleaf fleabane. These guys have hundreds and hundreds, if not thousands, of wind-blown seeds, these white things. So the stalks are quite thick and my snipper doesn't really go through them well as them being easy to hand weed, and it prevents all of this stuff from getting flicked everywhere and going to the neighbors. You do not want this flicking up and hitting you in the face. Let me just tell you that. So, this grass that I was just digging up, this is called wild oats. These are a massive pest worldwide, purely for the fact that they steal nutrients from surrounding crops and water. And these ones are only small, but when they get mature, they start looking like the backyard there, which is just crazy. Each plant has thousands and thousands of airborne seeds, so you don't want to be mowing or whippersnipping this stuff because it'll just get spread airborne to all of the neighbors and everywhere else. So it might take a bit longer, but it is way better digging this stuff up because none of it is even supposed to be here. This is a very invasive weed. Next weed that we have is this stuff. Now this stuff is called mallow. Some people may have heard of it as marshmallow weed or a cheese wheel weed. The fact that the leaves look a bit like a cheese wheel. And apparently the Egyptians a long time ago used to use this stuff medicinally, but I've decided I'm gonna probably hand weed this whole garden bed because there is glass throughout the whole yard. There's rubbish still in amongst it all, and I'm just gonna end up flicking it everywhere and something's gonna go wrong. You wait until you see how many birds are going to be here after I finish hand weeding this. The amount of worms that I've upsided from the soil is crazy. There's going to be a lot of birds here. So, creepy crawly warning everyone. I'm just gonna show you what a wolf spider looks like. There's a big one here that was just underneath me. These guys look really cool. Now, he's just gone under here. Oh, there he is. Nope, doesn't want to go under there. I wonder if there is something else under here. Let's have a look. Oh, I was really expecting to find like a mouse or something. There's nothing. We have another slab here. Maybe there's something under this. Oh, so disappointing. How's this little perfume bottle? All right, you guys want to see some crickets? If you haven't seen a cricket before, have a look at this. This is what they look like before they're matured, and they go really dark. So this tree here is called a tree of heaven, but despite its name, this thing is not heavenly at all. This is one of the most invasive trees in so many countries. These things grow through cracks in the ground and they grow extremely fast. You may have actually heard of these as hell's tree or ghetto tree. There's a lot of people that do not like using the word tree of heaven, and I understand why, because these things are pretty annoying. But we'll give this a bit of a trim because it's the only tree that is in the back here apart from the side, so we don't want to get rid of it. Yes, I know it looks ridiculous and I would probably get rid of it, but there's nothing else that's going to be in this yard because everything else is a weed pretty much. Okay, so I finally found the edge. I thought it kind of stopped around here. So I'm only hand pruning up to where this edge is, just so that all of this is clear, and then we can figure out what to do with this grass and random stuff that's growing where the lawn should be. I can't make these bags too heavy because getting through this gap is just getting harder every time. So I just went to go get my whippersnipper, and look at how fast these little fellas have come here to get all the grubs. This black and white one here is called a peewee, and then over here another little black and white one that's mainly black, that's called a willy wagtail. I'll try and get a close-up of them both so that you can see them. So here is the peewee. And then over here, the cute little willy wagtail. They're very cute. Oh. I'm actually surprised how long it took for the birds to realize how much free food there was in this garden. Before I get to power sweeping this and cleaning up all of this concrete, I'm going to attack these wild oats first. I'm actually going to just get rid of all of them because it's a massive fire hazard and this stuff is a very invasive grass. No one's living here, so I think there is some grass underneath all of this that has been kind of overtaken. So hopefully we can uncover a little bit of that grass, but we've got to get rid of this stuff because it is a menace. I know a lot of people are probably going to be shocked that I'm getting rid of all of this grass, but this grass is a huge fire risk here. These wild oats are really tall and thick, and I have actually found traces of another grass which is good, so I'm trying to get rid of this bad grass because this stuff will take over everything. So that's where the path leads and ends, right there, which is kind of good because it's a lot worse when you're trying to get rid of this stuff from the cracks. All right, so we have got rid of all of the dry stuff that was a fire hazard. Took quite a while, but it's definitely worth it. This stuff won't grow back near as quick now. Yes, the yard will look bare, but it is a lot safer. So now I can whip snip the rest of this stuff. So here, just randomly growing in the corner, is a green cestrum. You would have seen these in some of my other videos. These sprout out of nowhere because the birds eat the berries and then poop them out everywhere and they just spring up. But this plant is toxic to human and pets. So if you see this stuff and it's not meant to be here, get rid of it. All right, so we have got rid of all of the danger in this backyard. We've got rid of all of the fire hazards. They are completely gone now. These wild oats are toast. So I can finally get around to whippersnipping the rest of this place. But I can't really see what's going on at the moment because we have just so much rubbish everywhere. It would just be so good if I knew magic or could just make something like this disappear. Well, lucky I had magic and didn't have to put everything through that hole there. there's just some things that this whippersnipper cannot get through. We need one of these instead. All right, got a nice trash pile here that's buried in the corner. I was hoping it was just going to be grass and easy, but it never is. Got a random toilet seat and toys. Backyard complete. Now time to finish off this driveway. And this is an absolute mess. Imagine stepping on this. That is not good. Now, this guy that is growing in the corner here, this is called a common hackberry, or you may have heard of them as a nettle tree. And these things in good conditions can last over 150 years old. They also can grow over 10 meters tall. They are ridiculous. But this one here has just come up out of nowhere. It's not supposed to be here, but I'm just gonna trim it back because this place is lacking any type of tree or plant. So that is another European nettle tree, the same as the other one in the corner. And then we've just got one water prune, which is this guy here, and it's called a milkweed. I'll tell you a little bit more about that in a sec. Now, Again, one of the reasons why I've been hand weeding this whole garden bed is because there is so much broken glass everywhere, all in the garden beds, all along the driveway. I don't want it flicking up and doing any damage, so hand weeding is the way. Now here we have a pretty special plant. This is called a milkweed, and it gets its name from the milky white sap that oozes from these broken stems. This is also the only plant that monarch caterpillars can eat. If you've seen them before, they are a very beautiful butterfly. They are black and orange, and the caterpillars are a bright yellow and green. So watch out for them if you see or have these in your area, because monarchs absolutely love this plant. I'm not going to touch it because they're really good for the butterflies, but I just wanted to show you what they are.